Tonight on CTV, see the impacts of COVID-19 and how deodorant is causing lung problems.
Then 2 Fort Collins high schoolers are shaping up to change the future of CSU athletics.
And how Fort Collins is getting ready to celebrate Halloween this upcoming weekend.
All that and more starting on CTV 11 right now. Good evening, Rams. I'm Ren Wadsworth.
And I'm Robbie Patla. Another Fort Collins collision leaves a woman hospitalized. This is the second time in a week a pedestrian has been struck by a vehicle. Following last week's accident on Harmony Road, a woman walked onto the southbound lanes on College Avenue on Friday morning. Police say the woman was hit by someone driving a Kia Niro near the intersection of Mason Street. Fortunately, the woman did not receive any fatal injuries and was taken to the hospital. At this time, police are unable to come to a conclusion as to why the woman walked onto the road. They are asking anyone with additional information to call Officer Ken Koski at 970-416-2229.
Hospitals in Larimer County have been over capacity for nearly 2 months as COVID cases continue to spike. Fort Collins ICU rooms are housing 2 patients instead of 1 due to the excess amount of patients and overcrowding across the county. Additionally, residents with less severe illnesses are being asked to wait in emergency rooms for beds in the hospital to open. These 2 factors, along with new vaccinations slowing to fewer than 100 a day, has caused strain on hospital staff. The consistent cases in Larimer County have caused officials to urge residents to continue to receive vaccinations and booster shots in order to lower the amount of patients in the hospital.
Businesses in Fort Collins can become exempt from the recent mask mandate by requiring staff and patrons to be fully vaccinated. The Verified Vaccine Facility program requires employees to have a vaccination card and for owners to receive approval from the Larimer County Department of Health and Environment. The program is optional for businesses to participate in and will remain in effect as long as the mask mandate.
Americans use products like disinfectant, hairspray, and deodorant every day. However, research at Colorado State University suggests that emissions from items like these are contributing to air pollution. After seeing firsthand the effects air pollution had on his birthplace of India, Professor Shantanu Jathar began to research pollutants in the atmosphere at Colorado State University.
I saw firsthand the environmental consequences of a lot of air pollution. So I was, from a very early age, I was inspired to work in this particular area.
The research mostly focuses on everyday products whose use causes urban air pollution. Funded by 2 separate grants from the National Science Foundation to focus on emissions and pollutants, and from the National Oceanic Association to study how pollution is initially created and distributed, Professor Jathar and his team are analyzing the pollution rate of Fort Collins compared to other parts of the world.
We are going to deliberately add these chemicals to a large plastic bag and then simulate the same conditions that we would see in the atmosphere. And we would then monitor, using a lot of instrumentation, how these chemicals evolve physically and chemically.
Professor Jathar argues that volatile chemical products are things used often by consumers without realizing the potential harm.
Air pollution and climate change and the linkages between two is probably one of the most important environmental challenges of the 21st century. Understanding the sources of air pollution is essentially the first step in determining how you want to regulate or control those sources of air pollution.
As the study progresses, Colorado State University can breathe a little easier knowing its researchers are dedicated to making the air around us cleaner and greener. Through research like Professor Jathar's, drastic efforts can be made into reducing the amount of volatile chemical products on the market, preventing further emissions from polluting the atmosphere. You know, I had no idea that the stuff I was using in my home was possibly harming the environment.
I know, it actually kind of frightens me a little bit. I hope the research can come back with some good results because I really do not want my hygiene to suffer as a result.
Neither do I, Robbie.
Guess we're on the same page with that one then. All right, in other news, Rams take care of rams, but do rams also take care of birds? CSU researchers received $1.5 million from the National Science Foundation to tackle the issue of the effect light pollution has on migratory birds. Artificial lights from cities alter the behavior of birds in the process of migration. This can cause them to fly into buildings or divert them to unhealthy areas. This project will test existing public outreach campaigns about light usage in the community as well as determine what about these artificial lights is dangerous. Assistant Professor in the Human Dimensions of Natural Resources Department, Dr. Rebecca Nemec, who is leading the project, says, quote, This is a unique opportunity to work within an interdisciplinary team and integrate social and ecological science to implement interventions to achieve conservation action on the ground. Fort Collins, Oklahoma City, Houston, and Atlanta will be the focuses of this study. Researchers hope the results will help them determine possible solutions for this issue.
Faculty at Colorado State University are receiving recognition and resources through this year's Campus Equity Week. This week focuses on non-tenure track staff at CSU who teach introductory classes at the university. Taking place October 26th, 7th, and 8th, Campus Equity Week will host events and discussions toward better avocation and protection to faculty members without tenure. Questions about Equity Week and the events can be directed to Pamela Duncan@colostate.edu. Don't go anywhere yet because Michelle Ellis will be up after the break to give you your weather rundown for the week.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
Like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Hello everyone and welcome back from the break. My name's Michelle Ellis, here to give you the weather forecast for this week. So let's begin with the current conditions in Fort Collins right now. As we can see, it's going to be cloudy and windy this evening. As we can see, it's going to be picking up between 20 to 30 miles an hour coming in from the northwest, and it's going to be about 47 degrees this evening, but those temperatures are expected to cool into the high 30s this evening, and there's a pretty low chance of rain, about 17%. As we can take a look into the rest of the nation, we're going to see that east and the west coast are getting hit with intense weather patterns such as strong winds and heavy rain, which are triggering power outages, flooding, and mudslides across the regions. The weather is being caused due to a mixture of hot and cold air colliding, causing cyclones, which is bringing intense winds and extreme weather patterns with it. The west coast is being hit with a record-breaking bomb cyclone, while the east coast is being hit with a nor'eastern storm, which both bring coast intense wind and enormous precipitation, impacting people in these communities. These extreme weather patterns have caused New York and New Jersey to declare a state of emergency. This weather is heavily impacting communities and commutes as we're seeing throughout the nation. And here in Colorado, the National Weather Service has declared a high wind warning and a red flag warning in the eastern region of Colorado. As we can see in Sterling, there's a high wind warning, meaning that there's increased speeds of those winds. And as we go down to the bottom side, we're going to see that they're also having the high wind warning and a red flag warning, which means that because of these conditions, there's a higher increased chance of fire danger in this region. And as we move down to the mountainside, we're going to start to see those temperatures cool down into the mid to high 20s and even to the low 30s, with Telluride even getting down to 39 degrees. But in Telluride, there's a winter weather advisory notice, meaning that they're going to be seeing some snow this evening in that region. Now let's see if it's going to be cool tomorrow. As we can see that it's going to start to cool down a bit, but Colorado Springs is going to be quite warm at about 77 degrees. And as we move out to the eastern side, we're going to see the mid to high 50s and even to the mid 60s. As we move into the mountain range, we're going to see that it starts to cool down into the mid to high 40s and even getting into the mid 50s, with Telluride getting down to 50. While we take a look into Fort Collins, we're going to see that those temperatures are going to be about 58 degrees during the day, and it's going to start to cool down as well into the evening tomorrow. As we can see, it's going to be down to 37 degrees in the evening, but it's going to be sunny tomorrow, but that wind is going to be there. We're going to see that it's going to be 20 to 30 miles an hour. I mean, we're going to feel those stronger winds tomorrow, and we're going to see that there's a low chance of rain. And sunset, 6 p.m. Now taking a look into the rest of the week, we're going to see that it's going to be quite sunny Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, but those winds are still going to be there. On Wednesday, it's going to be 20 to 30 miles an hour. Starts to chill down about to Thursday, coming into 10 to 25, and Friday, 5 to 10. Throughout the week, we're going to see constant lows in the 30s, but it's going to start to heat up on Friday at 70 degrees. And as we go into the weekend, we're going to see that it's going to start to cool down on Saturday down to 63 degrees, and Sunday getting really chilly, about 48 degrees. And there's a 40% chance of snow coming in, but it should be less than an inch. Now, Fort Collins, that's all I have for weather for you this evening, but stay tuned because there's more news after this.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably going to turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right.
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Welcome back from the break, Rams. Before his passing in late September, Walter Scott Jr. made one final act of support for CSU by expanding the Scott Scholars Program over the next 10 years. The program will receive an additional $11 million, adding to the existing support provided by Scott, which adds up to $64 million. Undergraduate Scott Scholars will receive up to $22,000 per year. This will be put towards tuition, housing, and board, and total annual expenses. In remembrance of Scott, his legacy will live on through the students whom he has graciously supported throughout the years.
The American Geophysical Union has accepted 4 new members from Colorado State University's researchers. Candidates for fellowship with AGU have made outstanding achievements and contributions to scientific progression. The century-old organization is a collective of over 60,000 members of scientists. The 4 new members are Professor Richard C. Astor, Professor Elizabeth Barnes, Senior Research Scientist Paul DeMott, and University Distinguished Professor Sandra Sakar. The new American Geophysical Union Fellows will be honored at a ceremony held between December 13th and the 17th.
The excitement for Halloween at the end of the week may be all Rams can think about. However, this week offers many more exciting events in the form of the Diversity Symposium. This year's symposium, which is going on right now, features an assortment of educational discussions, engagements, and keynote presentations on topics all revolving around diversity and inclusion. Vice President for Inclusion Excellence Colleen Cipriani says, quote, "Through contributions from presenters and moderators and partnerships with Rams Reed, the ACT Film Festival, murals, and many more, this year's symposium will truly offer something for everyone," end quote. While some events have already happened, it's not too late to register for the rest of the week. Events to still happen include CSU Inspire on Wednesday, a keynote presentation given by Cabot Professor of Social Ethics at Harvard University, Mahzarin Banashi, on Thursday, and CSU Murals, a spotlight of creative artwork and dialogue on Friday. Links to register for these events can be found in Students Outlook emails.
As the Diversity Symposium comes to an end on Friday, another large-scale diversity and inclusion event begins in the form of Native American Heritage Month. This week, I spoke with one of the organizers of this event to learn more about what to expect and its importance to the CSU community. Tucked away on the 3rd floor of the LSC lies the Native American Cultural Center, where members of this community are preparing for the start of Native American Heritage Month. Assistant Director Tiffany Kelly says this month will be tailored to the majority of the CSU community.
So it really is a variety of programs that are both aimed to be celebratory and provide space and community for our Native and Indigenous students, as well as opportunities for non-Native folks to maybe engage in a conversation that they've never been a part of before.
It also won't be afraid to tackle difficult topics.
You know, the month really kind of covers it from food to poetry to really hard things like trauma.
The month-long celebration had to be altered last year due to COVID-19, and it seems this year members of the Cultural Center are taking advantage of the in-person restrictions.
offering virtual programming really made things more accessible, both for folks that are not here, but also for folks that maybe can't be out.
There are still ways CSU members can get involved in person. On November 9th, the Aspen Grill will hold a special menu featuring traditional Native American dishes. And on November 10th, we'll hold an in-person showing of the documentary Home from School, which Kelly describes as a tragic but important story.
I think there's some healing that can really take place as a part of these conversations.
Kelly encourages anyone interested to participate and be a part of something big.
We try not to do things in a bubble or a silo because we really want to get that reach. So, I think again, if you're curious or just not sure, this is a great opportunity.
Tomorrow, Wednesday, October 27th, keynote speaker Joshua Whitehead will kick off the events for Native American Heritage Month, which will have events occurring throughout November leading up to fall break. More information about these events can be found on the Cultural Center website. Well, Rams, that's all the news we have for you tonight.
Stay tuned after the break. Brandon Cruz will introduce us to some high school athletics who may be impacting CSU in a big way.
I am what hunger looks like in America. I am an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for the last day of school. Because this may be the last time I'll have lunch. Till September. I am a single father of 2 who works 3 part-time jobs. And that's still not enough to put food on the table. I am a 16-year-old boy who just got my first job.
To help feed my little sisters.
I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew they were hungry.
Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Good evening, Rams. Welcome back to yet another edition of Bleacher Beat. I'm your host, as always, Brandon Cruz. Well, you've heard me discuss both college and professional sports on this show, but what about at the high school level? See how the Lambkins of Fort Collins High are doing this season and why Ram fans should be keeping an eye on them as the fall progresses. Plus, I'll provide an overview of the greater college football playoff landscape now that we're 8 weeks in. All of this and more on Bleacher Beat, which starts right now. Let's kick things off with something a little bit different. Now, some of you may be aware of the high schools in the NoCo area, and like me, maybe even attended one. But tonight, we're going to focus on one in particular. Fort Collins High School is 7-2 this season, destined for the playoffs, and led by 2 young stars that you just might recognize in the future.
Although it may not be at the level of Texas, high school football is still a treasured pastime here in northern Colorado, and maybe even more so for the Lambkins of Fort Collins High School. The team currently sits atop the 5A Metro 1 League standings, highlighted by its 2 do-it-all superstars in Dorian McGarity and Dante Johnson.
Dorian's kind of our very quick twitch, fast, goes and makes a bunch of plays, and Dante's our very smooth, versatile ball hawk and defensive side of things.
And with this two-way play in mind, this dynamic duo must be a nightmare to game plan for, literally never coming off of the field.
Wherever coach needs me to play, that's where I'm at. We lose all 3 quarterbacks in one half of a football game, I'm at quarterback.
The mental toughness, determination, and team emphasis that both of these guys have rightfully earned each a D1 scholarship.
Ever since I started playing football, my primary goal was to be the first one in my family to go to a D1 school and play sports, and I achieved that dream, and it means like everything to me.
And to have 2 was really cool, especially to have them go to the school that I went to. Dorian wearing the number I wore in high school and Dante the one I wore in college.
And what school might that be?
Yeah, that's right.
Dorian and Dante will be CSU Rams next fall, following Coach Yem's path in becoming the first Lampkins to receive D1 offers since 2013.
It's just a perfect fit. Their hospitality that they gave me was awesome. The coaches made me feel welcome. It's a comfortable environment. My family, it's close to home. Why not them? I even love the weather here. It's awesome. I don't understand why people wouldn't want to CSU, to be honest.
And the idea of playing together at CSU had to be an exciting prospect.
It started to kick in after I realized he's been offered. So it was like, wow, now I get to play with my homeboy at CSU at the next level. I was so excited about that. I was so happy.
Fort Collins concludes its regular season down in Westminster this Thursday against Mountain Range High. And with playoffs quickly on the horizon, the next team to slow down McGarity and Johnson will be the first to do so this season. I mean, just take a look at these numbers. McGarity is the Lambkins' top receiver this year, with 23 catches for 406 yards and 6 touchdowns through 9 games. Oh, and he's also a threat on the ground and can even air it out too. Add a kickoff return into that mix, and you've got 4 ways he can score. And as for Johnson, he's also electric at wideout and on special teams. But he mostly makes his living as a beast on defense, with 49 solo tackles, 7 pass breakups, both lead the team, and 2 picks in 2021. With this in mind, Johnson will be a safety at CSU, bolstering the secondary with his agility and awareness. And on the other side, McGarity enters as a receiver, providing speed on the outside, which is a crucial skill to have given that CSU has desperately struggled in the vertical passing game as of late. Man, I'm so excited to see what these guys will do at the next level. And now, returning back to college athletics, the CFB season has been a wild, unpredictable mess. Let me just name a few chaotic moments real quick. Number 2, Iowa got blown out at home to Purdue. Clemson isn't in the top 25 poll, but UTSA somehow is. And Penn State, Illinois went into 9 overtimes this past weekend. And I didn't even mention Alabama's loss to Texas A&M. Whether it's simply fans being back in stadiums or the lack of superior teams, I don't really know. But even with all the movement, the playoff picture is actually not that complicated. To start, I think it's safe to say that Georgia isn't. The Bulldogs have been dominant throughout the season, and I expect that to continue. They have by far the best defense in the nation, giving up just 4 offensive touchdowns all year. Yep. Good luck beating them, let alone scoring on them. And even if the Dogs were to fall in the SEC championship game with only 1 loss, they're still easily in. And though the same thing can't be said for Cincinnati, I just don't see the Bearcats losing, period. They have an impressive road win in South Bend against Notre Dame, which should be enough to convince the committee that the Cats are legit. Now, I get that Cincinnati's schedule is way below par, but you have to reward complete performances, and Cincinnati just keeps on winning. That leaves 2 spots remaining. The Big Ten and Big 12 are the front runners. In the Big 12, I'm mainly talking about Oklahoma, but don't sleep on Oklahoma State and even Baylor. Over in the Big 10, Ohio State, Michigan State, and Michigan, all in the Big 10 East, are really the primary contenders, but none of them have played each other yet. So as the weeks go on, we'll really get to see who that best team in the Big Ten is. Out of those 2 leagues, Alabama is still relevant. If they win out, that would include a win over Georgia in the SEC championship game. So they basically control their own destiny. And on the West Coast in Oregon, they're still relevant. They have a great win against Ohio State, but they had that bad loss to unranked Stanford. So there's a lot to consider going into the final half of the regular season, but it's safe to say that Georgia and Cincinnati have claimed 2 spots already. Well, Ram fans, that's all the sports action I have for you tonight. Be sure to catch Cam's Corner on Thursday for more sporting news, but don't go away just yet. Noah Pasley will end tonight's show by giving you all the spice in entertainment.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it. First impression. I weigh in. But, here's the thing. Can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Can one piece of paper really tell you my whole story? Like, that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or how anytime there was an opportunity, I was the first one to step up. Because I wasn't gonna let my life, my circumstances dictate who I was gonna become. And all of that determination, commitment, drive, that's me. And that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent, like me.
Hello, Fort Collins, and welcome back to another week of entertainment here at CTV. I hope everyone has a spooky week ahead, and thank you once again for tuning in. As usual, I'm your host, Noah Pasley. It obviously wouldn't be a proper Hollow week without plenty of festivities in the Fort Collins community, and CSU's clubs are well underway with the celebrations. CSU's figure skating team was showing off on the ice last Friday with a skate night hosted at the Epic Center. The pros came out to enjoy a night of strutting their stuff in costume, and community members of all skill levels were invited out to premiere their freakiest outfits. But the skate team wasn't the only CSU student group with a few trick-or-treats up their sleeve. The Mosaic a cappella group was also out and about to raise everyone's spirits. The singers, who of course sported some costumes of their own, decided to bring some holiday cheer to Old Town Square with their own performance of some fan-favorite Halloween songs, including hits from The Nightmare Before Christmas. Of course, it can't all be haunts and jaunts, and hopefully anyone feeling wound up amidst midterms and seasonal stress may have found their way to decompress with puppy yoga. Hattie Williams has the story.
Puppy yoga might just be your new favorite hobby. This relaxing exercise helps people relieve stress in 3 ways: doing yoga, drinking a beer, and of course, playing with puppies. Maxline Brewing, Bounce Animal Rescue, and Om Kai Yoga have partnered together to make these adorable classes.
Puppy Yoga is a community-based yoga class here at Maxline Breweries. The puppies roam throughout the class, so you're doing yoga and interacting with the puppies.
Puppy Yoga is one of a few events that Bounce Animal Rescue puts on in order to help these cute little faces find their forever homes. This class allows for potential owners to interact with and meet the dogs that are up for adoption.
It's kind of hard to just look online and be like, this is the best dog for me. You have to see their personality, you have to see what the requirements are for that breed, and so it's just a really great way to find that right pair for you.
And the fun doesn't stop with the class. There's a puppy meet and greet that participants are invited to afterwards.
So if you didn't get access to a ticket for puppy yoga, or if you didn't want to come do yoga, you can still come down, drink beer, hold puppies, and learn more about the rescue.
Now, if a new puppy just isn't in the cards for you yet, that's okay. There are still ways that you can help support the rescue.
The proceeds go directly to Bounce Animal Rescue. I teach these classes for free, so it's a great way for them to raise money.
As someone who's felt the fall burnout lately, I'm for sure scanning the horizon for any R&R opportunities just like this. But if you're ready to let go and have some fun to refresh, maybe check out this treat from the bars and breweries out at the Exchange. Old Town Putt and many other local businesses have put together their very own bar crawl, starting on Saturday from 6 to 9 in the evening at the Churn. Merrymakers can enter the event and compete in a costume contest with cash prizes, or even work their way through a scorecard by buying food and drink for some Boo Crawl merch. The only requirement, costumes. But being out all night partying it up hardly suits everyone, and the Gardens on Spring Creek brought back a special event last week for FOCO families. The Gardens hosted its annual Pumpkins on Parade celebration last weekend, welcoming patrons in to enjoy carving displays, magic shows, and some classic pumpkin bowling. The event was once again candy-free as part of the Teal Pumpkin Project, which aims to raise awareness about food allergies and to create more inclusive Halloween celebrations. Well, Fort Collins, that's all I've got for you. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the latest episode of CTV Cooks, and have a beautiful rest of your week.